Hello. Um, this is going to be a bit of a difficult one, so I'm going to just get straight into it. I wanted to do another video which explores opening yourself up to someone after you've been in an abusive relationship. Because I have been through past 2 weeks a situation where I found myself opening up to someone, and after 2 years of being on my own, not going on dates, not, being romantically linked with anyone, I found myself in that situation again, and I found it really difficult. So I sort of want to use this video. I mean, this is probably going to be the first video where I actually talk about abuse and its effects, not just myself. So if you're a fan of my videos and you watch them all the time and you're sick of hearing me talk about myself, then you've come to the right place, because I want to sort of talk about how coming from an abusive past with a partner can affect the future and how you deal with things. So I met this guy about 2-3 weeks ago. And like with any other sort of meetup since my ex, I sort of mainly thought it was just going to be for one thing, and then it was just going to be a one-time thing. And it ended up not, which I found really weird. It was quite difficult for me to open up in the first week, because normally when you court someone, you normally sort of talk a lot, you share secrets, or you get close. And I found that really difficult. I found it really scary, the fact that here I was, and I really liked this guy, and it sort of got to the point where ever since my ex, I've fancied guys, whatever, but this guy in particular, I started to think about him quite a lot. Even down to the car he drove. I couldn't see a Nissan, his car, couldn't see another model drive by without thinking about him, even his accent. I watched Anton Deck and it reminded me of him, and it was really scary. It was really sort of like, hang on, for the past 2 years I've just been on my own and not even focusing on that aspect of my life, because I had to rebuild myself from being completely and utterly emotionally destroyed by a guy who physically and mentally abused me. So this for me was really scary, even planning, even conjuring up situations in my head where, we'd go places and we'd do cute things together. And for me, this was foreign. For me, this was very out of character. And it was scary. It was very scary, and I sort of retracted a bit, and I didn't reply, and I was being very aloof and, trying to play the long game. And he ended up, saying you need to be a bit more open, and, it was scary for me, because the more we met, the more we got closer, and the more I started to trust him, and the more I, wanted to go forward. And I did find myself sort of easing and letting my guard down, and it's difficult. You sort of think of them as the same person who abused you. You look at every aspect of their life and you compare. So again, with alcohol, I felt not uncomfortable, but I was a bit apprehensive of drinking around him, or if he was to have a drink and I wasn't, it was quite panicked me a bit, because obviously I'm very much used to being around someone who's pissed as a fart, hurling abuse at me, even beating me up a few times. So it was a lot for me to deal with. But I decided to not let it affect me. I decided to go with it and just trust him, and not paint him with the same brush, which is difficult. It's difficult because that's why I haven't been with anyone since my ex, because it's so hard to decipher the difference between someone who's him and who's not, because you'll always find similarities with everyone you meet. If it's alcohol, if it's things they say, you sort of overanalyze everything. And one thing again which really I struggled with was it took a lot for me to open up to this guy, and I eventually did, and I sent him a message telling him I missed him and I couldn't wait to see him again. And this was out of character for me because of, one, coming from the relationship, and also because this guy was at his friend's house getting drunk. And normally I would have kicked off or I would have been funny, but instead I sort of mustered up the courage to say, no, I'm not going to let it affect me, and I'm going to tell him that I miss him, because I did. I missed him. And I thought if he was drunk, he'd probably, oh, I miss you too, and it would be cute. And so I thought I'd give it a try. And then unfortunately, he didn't feel the same. He ignored my message. He just skimmed past it and then told me about his friends and how much he loved his friends and couldn't do without them. And even that sort of stung a bit, because I'm new to this city and I don't have many friends at the minute. So it just felt a bit like I'm getting my face rubbed in it, like, oh, I don't need you, I've got my friends, whatever. But I didn't reply to him. I thought I'd give him some space, and then I asked him the next day if he, why did he ignore it? I didn't send him a message. I didn't, send him loads of like, what you're doing, why you're doing this. I didn't tell him I loved him. I didn't, ask for a marriage proposal. Everyone knows me, I'm easy. Give me a bottle of Malibu and a pack of ciggies and I'm fine. But I didn't ask for anything intense. I just told him I missed him, and I just questioned why he'd ignored it. And he told me that it was too much for him to handle, and he didn't know anymore. And bearing in mind that we were completely fine the day before until I asked him if he missed me or not. And I asked him, do you actually miss me and do you want to see me again? And he goes, I don't know. So I took the decision to remove him, because this happened with my ex. I would always go to bed guessing if I was good enough, overthinking everything, looking at their text messages, reading the text over and over. I do that with my ex. I'm trying not to name him and it's really difficult. And I do, and it would be, we'd have an argument, and even with this guy and my ex, I said that, if you want to talk to me in person, talk to me in person, just come to me, come to my door and we'll thrash it out. Don't do it over text, because you can't tell people's emotions. But this would happen with my ex all the time. I'd ask him something, again, I'd ask him, are you at your ex's house? Are you with your ex-fiance? Have you cheated on me? And then he'd turn it around on me, and then he'd say, no, I don't know if I want to be with you anymore now. You're asking too many questions. You're too much. Again, you're too much. It's too much. And I just thought I needed to remove him, because I can't do it anymore. I can't, ask a simple question and get everything thrown back in my face. Saying that I'm too much, the situation's too much, when all I asked was, in this situation, I just asked him if he missed me, and he could have said yes or no, and we could have spoken through it. But the fact that he's told me that he didn't know if he wanted to see me anymore, and the fact that he didn't know if he liked me the same way anymore, it sucks. I mean, one thing I've learned is to always be true to myself, and I am an emotional person, and if it makes me too much, then it makes me too much. I love with my heart. If you're my friend, I'll dedicate myself to you, and I don't think it is a weakness. I think it's a strength, and I'm very hurt at the minute because I lowered my guard down for a minute and told this guy I missed him, which was true because I did miss him. I'm not going to lie and say it was a game. It wasn't a game for me to get him to give me compliments. I genuinely missed this guy, and I couldn't wait to see him again. And he didn't feel the same, and it sucks. It really sucks. Because again, I've gone from being too little to too much. So with my ex, I was too little for him. I wasn't enough. I wouldn't support him enough with his alcoholism, and now I'm too much. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm really in a bad place about it, because I did like this guy, and I still do, and it just hurts, because for the first time in 2 years, like, I've not dated anyone in 2 years. So for the first time in 2 years, I finally found someone I actually genuinely liked. I wasn't gonna be with him just because I was lonely. I moved to a city on my own, knew no one, and it would have been very easy for me to latch on to him and I wouldn't say use, but just sort of go with it. But I decided to choose him because I liked him, and I really, really did. And I let my guard down, and it sucks, because for the first time in 2 years, I finally let my guard down and thought, I'm going to show him the real me and tell him that I miss him and that I can't wait to see him again. And I just got it thrown back in my face and told it was too much and I'm too much. And I can only apologize if being told that someone misses you is too much. I'm not going to change it. I wouldn't change what I said because it was the truth. I missed him and I couldn't wait to see him again. And anyway, I don't want to talk about it too much because it still hurts. It still really hurts. But I'll be fine. I'll get over it. But I just wanted to sort of come on here and actually talk about it because it's been bugging me for days ever since we cut contact with each other, and how it can affect you, even down to the smallest detail of if someone accepts you. And I mean, I get it. I really get why he didn't miss me because, this guy has had, previous relationships before me, this year, even last year. And it's fine. That's you've got to kiss a few frogs to get a prince. But because I haven't been in this situation for 2 years, I obviously got feelings for him faster than what's normal. And that's the consequence of being in an abusive relationship, that when someone tears you down so much, every day I was being told that a 55-year-old man was better than me, a dog was better than me, alcohol was better than me, his friends were better than me. It really damaged me, and I was beaten down so much that I didn't think I could get up. And for me, this guy sort of picked me up again, giving me the compliments. Like, I remember he'd always say, you look cute today, you look good. I never got that with my ex. And perhaps that's why I'm in this situation now, because I'm so used to being, I don't want to say abused, I'm very much used to being pushed aside and rejected from looks, personality, whatever. And for the first time in 2 years, it's not like this was months ago. It was for the first time in 2 years, I've been lonely. I've been on my own. I've been fighting, my own anxiety, and everything to do with my ex in the relationship. And it's been difficult, there has been situations where I could have been in relationships, I have had offers, but I chose not to because I knew that I wasn't in the right place for a relationship. I knew I wasn't capable of doing it because I didn't love myself. I didn't have any respect for myself. And I found myself again with this guy that for the first time in 2 years that I was ready to actually give myself to someone and you know, say, hey, I do like you and I do miss you and I do want to progress with you. And that was really scary. That was really, it was foreign to me because I haven't had that for 2 years. And even when I had it 2 years ago, it wasn't nice. It was awful. It was just day after day of abuse and being told that I'm not good enough and wasting money on this guy and wasting energy and time, to the point where when I left my ex, there was no one inside me left. I mean, that's a bit of a double entendre, but um, in terms of personality and confidence, there was nothing inside me anymore. I was a fraction of the person I am now because it just, again, pardon the pun, but he beat the confidence out of me. He beat any sort of personality I had before him, and it was just darkness for 2 years. And then ever since moving to this new city, I've been trying to let myself grow emotionally and trying to let people in and share my story and say that this is me. And you know, I am emotional, I am too much sometimes, and I can only apologize, but I can't, you know, I can't change. And that is you know, that's really difficult, because I wish I could be distant. I wish I could be emotionally unavailable, but I can't. I've tried and it just doesn't work. You know, if I like someone, I like someone, and if I miss someone, I miss someone, and that will never change. And I don't think I should change that, because I've gotten here today for talking openly and being emotional, and I wear my emotions as a sign, as a, you know, a badge of armor now, that this is how I feel and I'm valid to feel this. And you know, I'm I can feel hurt by this. Yeah, okay, I knew this guy 2 weeks. I'm allowed to feel hurt because I liked him, and I'll be damned if anyone tells me different, that you can't miss someone you've known for 2 weeks. You can't, you know, say you miss him. I can, and I did, and I stand by that. And it's how I felt, and nothing can change how I felt. And I just wasn't good enough for this guy. I was too much, and that's life. And I accept that. It fucking hurts, but I accept it. And I won't change because of this. I'm not going to. If anything, what my ex taught me was to, you know, is to sort of be resilient and to stand by what you believe is right. You know, so I did miss him, and I'm with this guy. I'm not apologizing for it. I'm not gonna grovel to him and say I'm sorry for saying that. I know it was too much. It may have been too much for him, but for me it was a lot. For me, it took a lot of strength to tell him I missed him because I was scared, and if anything, my fears were proven right. Got it thrown back in my face and made to feel like the past 2 weeks of getting to know him and growing closer was for nothing. And that sucks and it hurts, and that's something I'm now going to have to deal with emotionally and get over. But I've been through it a lot of times, and I can do it. And I will do it. So I'm not going to let this get me down. And, you know, I am an emotional person, and that's never going to change. If I like you, I like you. I'm not going to be with you for any hidden agenda. I'm always going to be with you because I like you, and that's a fact. And if I miss you, I'm going to tell you I miss you. And if no one can deal with that, then fine. But why should I change? It took a lot for me to get to this point, and this is, again, one thing I'm really struggling with at the minute, is to not let this destroy me. I've been really upset this past few days. I've been really emotional, and I felt emotions I've not felt in 3 years. And it's scary, and I could let this destroy me. Yet again, I've been rejected by someone because they don't want me. I'm too much now instead of too little. And I'm trying not to let it destroy me. I'm trying to let this ricochet off me and just accept the fact that, he didn't like me back and whatever, it sucks. But that's one thing, because after my ex, I am emotionally battered. I am emotionally sort of, I don't know what the word is, but I'm so, things affect me, and they do. And that's why I talk about it, because I do take things personally, and, a rejection is still a rejection. And it hurts. It still hurts, I tried to give this new guy my all in the end and say to him my true emotions and be cute, and he didn't want me. And I can't sit here and say that I'm gonna, go out next week and get pissed and find another guy, because I can't, because of Boris Johnson. But anyway, forget that. Don't know what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I've completely lost what I was going to say. I think I was going to say something like, I can't. Yeah, it's gone. Well, anyway, it's not going to change. I still miss him. I still like him, and it sucks, and it really fucking hurts that he didn't want me because I liked him. So let's leave it at that. But yeah, it's been difficult, to open up to someone. The journey for those 2 weeks, even though it was 2 weeks, it was still a lot of emotions for me to battle, for me to sit down on my own and say, come on, you need to pull yourself out of it. You need to not paint every man with, the same brush, because he's not your ex, and he he's not similar to him. So, it took me a long time to get, even though, again, it was a week, but it was still it felt like a month of me just battling myself and, beating myself up and saying, why are you not opening up? Why aren't you being like this? Why can't you be like that? Because like I said, when you're sort of like physically and mentally beaten, you just have nothing left, and it just takes you a lot of strength. And that's the whole point of this video is to say that things are going to affect you. If you've ever been in an abusive relationship, that things will knock you for six, because this has knocked me for six with this guy. I mean, for him, he doesn't care. He probably has found someone else, and he deserves it because he's a lovely guy. He's, not thinking about me, whereas I am. And it's because of what I've been through that I'm affected so much, because I've been so emotionally bruised and battered and sort of knocked down. And finally someone even if it's like little nuggets have been picked up, it's meant a lot to me. So when this guy would say that I was cute, or, cook me food, or, invite me around for a movie night, that meant a lot to me. For him, it may not have meant anything. It may just have been come round, I don't care. But it meant a lot to me. And even putting Christmas decorations up with this guy, which again, that meant a lot to me. To him, it may have just been, I'm putting up decorations with this guy on my sofa. Whereas for me, it was a lot. It was more of okay, I'm opening up and I'm, doing this with you. So that is, again, a side effect of being in an abusive relationship, that anything after that will appear amazing. And if you find something that is better than what you've had before, when you lose it, it hurts, because you're scared of getting the same thing again. Like, I'm scared now of being alone and having no friends. And I'm scared, petrified, because I'm now back to square one. And I was sort of built up over the past 2 weeks to think that, yeah, me and this guy are going somewhere. This is great. This could be something. I'm finally going to open up, and I've just been dropped again. And, again, it hurt. Normally this wouldn't have hurt. If I had if I was seeing someone a few months ago or last year, it might not have hurt as much as it does. But because of it, it stings, because I've not had any romantic connection with anyone in 2 years, and it's taken a lot for me to open up. 2 years of hating myself and going on this journey where I finally get to a point where I'm okay with myself, to then lower down the barriers to only just, be, you're too much, Andrew, and it hurts. And in some ways I'm sort of, annoyed at my ex for treating me the way he did, because it's now made me so emotionally vulnerable, that I meet a guy for 2 weeks and then suddenly I'm upset all the time, and I feel like I've just done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. And time is a great healer, and I know it is, and I'll get better, because I always do, and I will learn from this, but I won't necessarily change. I might tweak it. I might not tell the next guy that I miss him 2 weeks in, but I will still tell him, because that's me. And I don't think I should feel ashamed for saying my emotions to someone who I felt a connection with and I felt like I really wanted to be with. And I think going forward, I'm not going to make any more apologies. I'm just going to be myself, and, that's it. So yeah, that was just another half an hour of me ranting. Hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, thank you for listening, and make a tit of myself. See you on the next video when something else goes tits up for me. So, which, knowing my luck, it'll probably be in 2 days or 2 weeks. So you've got that to look forward to. Cheers.